Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Batholkus, and this is Watchmen, Season 1, Episode 8, A God Walks Into Abar. One word, Abar, because of Angela Abar's name. I know a lot of titles like HBO, even or cable channels and all that kind of stuff had it in the guide as A bar, but no, it's one word, Abar, which is for Angela's name there. A little punny on that title, but it's sure, why not? So, a little bit of business first before I get that out of the way. If you like what you see here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, you can hit the little bell. If you hit the bell, it's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. You can actually go to suspendedfanimation.com, take a look at my schedule. It's up there. Change that every week. And I also have it up on my Facebook page. Also, speaking of Facebook, if you have a Facebook account, you can come in and take a look at the group page that I have set up so you can post stuff and you guys can talk amongst yourselves. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I also have a Patreon page, but I don't have a tier set as of yet, but I will at the end of this year, beginning of next year. There we go. And spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. Yes. So, like I said, this is going to be a review, no recap on this one. Um, so it's kind of so when you're doing something called Watchmen, of course, you're going to want Dr. Manhattan in this. This whole episode finally revealed that there really is no reason why Dr. Manhattan is in this, really, quite honestly, other than because even Adrian Veidt, Osmandius actually asks him, so yeah, what makes this woman so special? And he doesn't know. Why is he coming back to have another relationship on Earth? Why is he doing that? Why is he back for that matter? And it's never really answered. It's just kind of like, I don't know. Um, I'm like, all right, so we really have no reason other than it's cool that Dr. Manhattan's back. That's the reason why. Also, we have a retcon of the comic by saying that Osmandius's plan A was actually to put this round ring thing into Dr. Manhattan's head in the first place, kind of making him forget that he's a superpowered being and making him human in a way, which was kind of odd because that would suppose that um, having John turn into a human form, not just humanoid form that may or may not contain organs or whatnot, and then being able to hold him down at some point where he could actually put that into John's head. Whereas the plan B, which was actually in the comics of ripping him apart, seemed like the plan A to begin with because, it actually worked. Um, yeah, I'm not too happy about that, quite honestly, of retconning something to explain away basically to explain away a MacGuffin for the other MacGuffin of having a character come in for no good reason whatsoever. We just had some things that were answered though in this is that well, I guess you could say they were answered. Dr. Manhattan tells Angela that he's been on Europa for the last 20 years creating life. That was in 2009 that we see all this happening. And we're going kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit between 2009 and then now, 2019. And of course, we find out that this whole death of Judd thing happened because of Angela. Angela is talking to Dr. Manhattan, John, at the end of this when he's turned back after she smacked open his head and pulled out the ring, and he's turned back to himself. And he's also talking to her grandfather back in 2009 because Osmandius told him that before he puts this thing in his head, that he should go and take care of any kind of loose affairs that he's got, any untied, uh, loose strings, if you will. And so he goes and talks to Angela's grandfather, who has no idea that Judd is a white supremacist. until they are talking to each other over time through John. And that's why this whole thing came about. And it's the whole chicken and the egg scenario is what we were getting to. And honestly, I saw that coming from about a mile away. And oh, I cringed. I cringed hard on it. I really did. Um, I didn't want it to be that way, but it was. And my God. Yeah. Um, so then we also have the 7th Cavalry that's been sitting outside the Abar house with a tachyonic cannon out there. And Angela, we see, actually has guns inside the house. She has them in a safe behind a picture. And she arms herself, goes out there, and starts shooting at these guys. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of 7th Cavalry guys out there. And of course, Dr. Manhattan comes out and starts blowing up their heads. But of course, that doesn't work. There's one person that's left, I guess, that activates the cannon, even though after the cannon is activated, I don't see that person behind the I thought I saw somebody at first behind the cannon operating it, and then after Dr. Manhattan disappears, I don't see a person behind the camera again, or behind the cannon, excuse me. Um, so yeah, I don't know what was going on with that, to tell you the truth. Is it a nitpick? Possibly. At this point, it's gone beyond, uh, yeah, it's gone beyond kind of ludicrous for me at this point. Another thing that was kind of out there was when he's talking to Osmandius, when Dr. Manhattan is talking to Osmandius in 2009, and he says, "Oh yeah, I heard you were out in Europa making, and other beans and all this kind of stuff." And John asks him, "Who told you?" And he says, "A little elephant told me." And that was one thing that just kind of threw me off. Maybe that's a throwaway line. I don't know. But considering that we saw the elephant in the room, quite literally, with Angela the last episode, who knows what's going on with that? If that's anything, or if it's just the polar bear that turns into smoke or a smoke monster or something like that. Yeah. Um, so also get a little bit about John's backstory when he was a kid, that he was fleeing Germany because they're him and his father are both Jewish, and they stayed at this manor, which is the manor that actually got taken and put on Europa. And the Lord and Lady of the manor, John had seen as kids, having sex, and got caught, of course, seeing them doing this. And he modeled his Adam and Eve, if you will, over these people, or the Lord and Lady of the manor. So we also bring in at this point the elephant is Lady True. It's her company symbol, and like Ozzy's, yeah, I know she's Osmandius's daughter. George, thanks on that one, but I thought it was just a T was her, like kind of like the Tesla symbol was Lady True's symbol. Maybe I was wrong on that one, but yeah, it was kind of disappointing all the way around. I was kind of hoping they were going to redeem this. There's one episode left. There's an episode 9 that's supposed to wrap this whole thing up, and it's supposed to be an encapsulated season. But I'm still not seeing why the 7th Cavalry announced themselves, why they became active again, if they were just trying to, grab Dr. Manhattan and do this, I guess, covertly in order to take his powers. And also, I mean, Dr. Manhattan says that he can give theoretically people his powers by having them drink it or eat it or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this thing's going, quite honestly. But a T is also the front view of an elephant. Oh, yeah, that's true. It is. Yeah. Um, Yeah, this didn't wow me all that much. I mean, yes, Dr. Manhattan's in it, but again, like I said, um, you have to avoid that trap if you're gonna do a Watchmen thing. You're 9 times out of 10, yes, you're gonna wanna use Dr. Manhattan, but if you can do a Watchmen sequel without Dr. Manhattan, it might even be better, considering that he's supposed to be gone at this point. Yeah, that's the same thing I was thinking of, Mr. Roboto, is, you already have the specs in the machine that he was in. Granted, you're gonna kill a shitload of people, uh, in order to see if you can create another Dr. Manhattan, but yeah. George Coggin says, "This episode dragged on for me, I noticed." Yeah, yeah. It just doesn't make any sense, quite honestly, of why. I mean, okay, I know why they did it. It was to put in some cool stuff in order to tie it into the comic book or the graphic novel, but it's not actually, there were comic books to begin with, and they got put into a graphic novel. But there we go. Yeah, I'm still not feeling it. Yeah, no, it wasn't cool for me, Mr. Roboto. Yeah, it was not cool for me. I did like that Osmandius brought up the whole blackface thing that I thought it was kind of humorous as well. He says, it's 2009. You don't do that anymore, kind of thing. And because John, of course, yeah, he took it to an nth level, definitely. But yes, anything with three or more volumes of the graphic novel. Mr. Roboto, so Watchmen, the original Watchmen was released in 12 episodes or 12 issues, one a month. So they were 12 comic books. If you go to any comic book store that has back issues, you will see those things costing quite a bit of money. And they were collected into a graphic novel. So there you go. And it only had the one volume. It didn't have three volumes. So anything that's in a bound book that is a collection is a graphic novel, not three or more volumes. So sorry. And I used to own a comic book store. So there you go. Applecrow says, "What's the point of using Watchmen if they're not if they're just going to retcon the comic?" Yeah, that was the other thing. Applecrow is, I didn't know. Well, so they don't have, of course, Alan Moore's say on or blessings on this. They brought in, I'm just blanking on his name, uh, Dave Gibbons. They brought in Dave Gibbons to make it kind of legitimate, if you will. And yeah, he supposedly has signed off on all of this. Most likely, he's made a deal with DC Comics or WB so that they actually pay him a lot more money. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alan Moore's only cursed the shit out of this set and everything else, and I don't blame him. No, Dave Gibbons actually. So everyone thinks that the artist is just kind of there to draw shit. They actually contribute to the story as well because it's not the final thing that you know goes on with the writing. It's not just the writing. There's also when you're doing the artwork, you suggest things and also go, "Hey, wait a minute. This needs to go this way. This needs to go that way if you want something to go right." And you have a discussion between the artist and the writer, and he has writing credits on it too. Yeah. I want to show that's just more Alan Moore ranting about anything, uh, even things I disagree on with him. So his daughter, who's also an accomplished comic book artist in herself, a writer too. I take that back. She posted on Twitter about her father and why he's so passionate about this stuff and why he's being dismissed as basically the angry old wizard kind of thing. And go and find her on there. I want to say her name's Leah Moore, if I remember correctly. And it's actually kind of heartbreaking to tell you the truth when you sit there and read about it. And also just knowing all the shit that he went through with DC Comics just hounding him completely with, all the shit that he was going through. I can see his viewpoint on this, quite honestly. So, oh, I'm totally a fellow angry old wizard, according to a lot of people. Yeah, me too. I know that. So, yeah, I'll see how this thing ends. Um, this just kind of the whole chicken and the egg thing, and then the retconning of a comic saying, "Oh, that was Plan B. This was actually Plan A." And I'm sitting there going through the logistics of it, going, There's no way you'd have plan A to actually be able to implement it. I mean, just because you say it's plan A, 30 years, 40 years later, you know, doesn't make it so. So yeah, you actually have to think that shit through and not just say, "Oh yeah, that was plan A." And everyone going, "Brilliant. That was a great idea." When really it's like, "No, think it through for a second. How is he going to put that thing into his brain? Does he have a brain in order to put that in there to begin with in his blue form? Does he have any organs to begin with? You know, because that's what Osmandius asked him when he was in the Cal form, was that he has organs, he has a brain, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, what do I think of this episode? I'm giving this a 5 out of 10, quite honestly. Yeah. I know there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be pissed off. I know you're gonna put a lot of, you know, crap in the comments or whatnot. It's an opinion. It differs from yours. Makes it no less right or wrong on it, quite honestly. Yeah. Um, yeah. Heard a rumor that it got renewed for season 2. Huh? Really, Pen? I wouldn't be well, I don't know about that. So it probably did because it's AT&T owns them and they own HBO and they want, of course, something for HBO Max, and a lot of the DC Universe shows aren't kind of cutting it at the moment, but who knows? Um, they've been getting consistently in the ratings around anywhere from 500,000 to 700,000 people is where they've been getting per week. So there was a misleading article that was out there that said, "Oh, it got 7.1 million viewers in total," is what they were saying. Over it basically the math did not add up, and also the way they um, worded that article was not correct because the actual ratings on them per week are showing anywhere from 500,000 people to 700,000 people, which is not a lot for an HBO show. That's actually really low. That's even low for a Sci-Fi Channel show. Yeah, Deadly Class, I think, was getting that. To put that in perspective. And where is Deadly Class now? It's canceled. Yeah. So I would, I don't see them not getting a season 2 again, like I said, because they're owned by AT&T. AT&T owns Warner Brothers, DC Comics, all that kind of stuff in HBO. So I can see them pumping some more money into it because it's recognizable. Yeah, I would rather have more Deadly Class as well, Pen. I agree with you. At least it was different, quite honestly. So there we go. So if you like what you see here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, you're going to see the very end here. There's a video that pops up here, taken from the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching, and it plucks a video out of my vast video library that matches that algorithm of what you're watching. Up here is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. So I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I also have a Patreon page, but the Patreon page does not have any tiers set up as of yet. It will at the end of this year, beginning of next year. There we go. So they are also claiming that the entirety of Dr. Manhattan was in human form because considering that only one body was his entire form is rather short-sighted. Yeah. And also Dr. Manhattan was also saying well, he has said before in the Watchmen movie, he can exist in the same time like now, but in multiple forms because it's just, a lot more he can split himself up is what he can do. So, have they talked at all about electric cars or airships? No, they haven't. But all the cars are electric. We know that. Um, Osmandius was kind of grousing that they hadn't used his wireless electricity ideas and I forget what else. That they were still building bombs and whatnot. That was in 2009. 'Cause there's another meltdown that happened. Yeah. So yeah, they got all that. They even mentioned the old batteries, Apple Crow. So the older kind of batteries that could explode, that was what the Seventh Cavalry was mining. They had bought up a whole bunch of these old watches that had the old time batteries in there, and they were taking them out to make a bomb. That was in what was it, the second episode or the third episode, somewhere around there. So yes, they have been peppering it with the comics stuff, but they're twisting it into something that the comic wasn't. So basically, they're retconning the comic in ways. It's like just do a proper sequel to it. Leave the original comic alone. Don't even touch the original comic. Just do a sequel to it. And Doctor Manhattan's in another galaxy, supposedly according to the comic. But yeah, whatnot. So there you have it. That's my review of it. I'm gonna let you guys go for the night. Have a good night. Get some sleep. I will see you tomorrow for his Dark Materials, which also is on the bubble, I think, at this point. And I will see you guys then. Until then, don't let the Torah hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find out that you got something embedded in your head that was supposed to be plan A, when actually plan B, well, that's the morning after thing. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, and I'll see you then. Bye.